Stable chat today, getting out and about in Telegroupna. Stace Towers joins me. Firstly, hello.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Very good. It's a very brisk winter's day here, but I'm trying to get out and about and highlight not necessarily everyone, but just people I come across and meet. And I do quite a few things with you, from banter on a racetrack in days gone by to you getting involved with a couple of things I do on social media. So I thought I'm going to come for a drive and say hello. So firstly, Telegroupna is how far from Shep?
It's roughly 15 minutes from the middle of Shep, half hour to the track.
Half hour to the track. So it's pretty centralised, plenty of horses in the area. It's a good harness area. There's plenty of people, I suppose, to know and show and talk to and get to meet.
Yeah, the GV area is really strong with horses, really strong to race. As you can see, like the Shep meetings very rarely struggle for numbers. You've got Cobram, you've got Echuca, not that far to Bendigo. Yeah, it's a good area to live.
Yourself and Mark Lee, you've been here for 6 years. Firstly, are you officially married?
Yeah, we got married 3 years ago, I think, maybe. Yeah, so we are married.
Don't look at me. I've got no idea. But it was just because you are Stacey Towers and he is Mark Lee, so I thought, well, I better ask that. And he's a young bloke saying 4 years ago too. But your business or your farm's name is a name you're going to say, because I'm going to get it mucked up. I know that.
Our property is called Bohbron Park, so it's a combination of Bodie and Bronte.
Yeah, makes sense. I've always wondered, I'm like, how does that work? So, okay, so that's fine. And Brody's got the day off school today, so if anyone's wondering what he's doing, they wouldn't know what time it is, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, he has actually got the official day off school. He's not wagging. 93, 94 acres, you said?
Yeah, 93 acres.
And it's an existing property. There's been quite a few people that have had it over the journey, but so it's got the bones of everything for that you want. Yep. And yourself and Mark now are working away at trying to change it to what you guys are after.
Yeah, so when we come in, we were able to just come in and start training. It's got a lovely 1,030 metre sand track on it. Nice stable complex. Not, perfect, but it does the job. And we're just changing things to how we want them set up now.
It's one of those things whenever we buy properties, you're ever changing, if you like, or ever putting your hand in your pocket and all the rest. So sometimes you got to be smart about it. It must be a little bit of a juggle. You're only a young couple yourself, got a young family. So it must be a little bit of a juggle.
Yeah, so we don't do anything unless we've got the money to do it. We just save up. We don't go into debt to do things. Once the horses can pay for some stuff to be done, then we'll get it done. And
that's I think is a very, very smart way. And you've given me an idea on something else that I'm probably going to do with Kelly Partners, who actually bring these to you. But they're the sorts of things we need to, I suppose, help a lot of people in our industry, because there's not a lot of, steering in the right direction on and how you should or shouldn't do things. But it is a juggle trying to raise a family and have what you want, your dreams, if you like.
Yeah, it is. Bodie and Bronte. Bodie's only 12 and Bronte's 8, so you've got all their sporting things to get to as well. So, you've got to have a number of horses that can keep you afloat, but then not too many that you're just drowning in them.
And that is one of the keys. How many horses do you guys have?
I think we got about 9 or 10 in work at the moment.
And you break in horses for other people as well? Like, that's one of the key things that you guys are trying to do to get a bit of a name out there, I suppose, of being able to break in and help people with their, get the horses done?
Yeah, we've been breaking in for quite a number of years. Like, Mark does a lot of that side of things. I'll do a lot of the groundwork, and then he's first up in the cart, not me. But yeah, we've kind of built a bigger client base with the breaking in over the last couple of years since we've been here, and built some new steel yards, and we've got a nice big round yard, and it's very spacious here. So the horses kind of, they go straight off the rail and out onto the track. There's nothing really to crash into if they do go a bit rogue. But we have built a nice client base up of breakers. Are
you looking to get more clients? It's a question I didn't ask you prior to us doing this, but I know people always ask, who could break in horses and that. Is that something that yourself and Mark are actively, I suppose, putting your hand up for?
It's a tricky time of the year with breaking in, because Mark does work night shift as well at Unilever. So he does the season over there, which starts about February till August. So he works from 11 at night till 7 in the morning. So then we still got to balance the number of breakers that we have, because him trying to do breakers when he's tired and stuff like that, you can't have too many.
Yeah, so it makes it a little bit tricky. I know you took me for a drive around the farm. And you've got some beautiful paddocks. You've got some irrigated paddocks as well, which are maybe something down the track that you'll be looking at doing. paddock of 4 lovely yearlings, and none of them broke it in. But we don't have to worry about the owners; they're yours.
Yeah, so we've got 4 of ours still sitting there waiting. You know, we've got yearlings that have come back for their second prep, and ours are still sitting there, and they haven't even been broken in yet. But we'll get to them. I think Mark's only got a few more weeks left over at Unilever, and then we'll go hard and get them done, and they can go back to the paddock.
A hard time of year to be going hard with babies as well, because it is cold and you've got a young family. How many racehorses do you guys train? Because you do a good job. You never really seem to have a lot of numbers.
I think we've got, there might be 6 here that are to go the races. They're not at the races at the moment. We've only got Miss Tipsy and Firengrace at the moment. Serengeti Sunrise, he's back, just trying to get him to settle a bit before he goes to the races. A couple of 2-year-olds that, they're coming up, and yeah, not a lot of racehorses, but we do a lot of pre-trainers as well. I've done quite a few for Ash Haynes and then sent them off to Chris, and they've done a good job on the track. So
all the Phoenix horses with those funny prefixes at the start of them, I reckon he does that just because he knows I might have to say their names at some stage. You're a New South Welsh lady. You've been here in Victoria for a long time, I'm going to say, but you might turn around and say, no, not quite that long. The love of the trotters, I know you had trotters in New South Wales, but where did that come from for you?
I did nearly all my trial drives on our old trotter named Concert's Bid, and I just absolutely love the trotters. I find it so rewarding when you can win on a trotter. I don't know why, I do love the trotters. Moved down here, I was in my last season of my claim here and drove quite a number of horses for Dean. Dean Braun put me on. They were great horses to drive, very easy, either go the front or sit in the chair and just win, which was they're good horses to drive. And then I had Bodie, and then teed up with Peter Hornsby. And Pete loves the trotters, so it was a great suit for me. And we just clicked, and I helped Pete out when he got injured, and the rest is history.
And you just love them. And if you had a way of going, would you go all trotters?
I would have all trotters. I absolutely love the trotters. Mark was not a fan of the trotters, but I think I've turned him a little bit.
You should turn him. I think they're great. I think they're natural. I think it's a great way, I suppose, of selling our horses, selling our industry. I am going to touch on a horse in a little minute as well. That you've done a pretty good turnaround story on them, but the trotters. What if you could give someone out there, say, one piece of advice like with trotters, what would it be?
Patience. Just instill as much confidence as you can into the horse. Like, they do things wrong, but you need to just take a breath yourself and be like, it doesn't matter. I'll just give them the confidence that they need.
There is no better feeling, and there isn't like a horse when especially a trotter, when they only has to be for 200 metres, doesn't it? But it can just be exhilarating when all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, I've got this, and they show you that bit of turn of foot. It's hard to explain that in words, isn't it?
It is, it's great. We had Cole Diglabier, absolutely loved him. He was an absolute rogue as a 2 and 3 year old, and he had a breathing issue, which we did surgery on, and it didn't go to plan, and he always had an issue, but as he got older, just standing starts, he'd drop his head and just take off. And, when they're in a solid gait, you're just like, whoa, that feels good.
It's one of the good things about them, and this, I'm going to be a bit self-indulgent. I don't like being self-indulgent, but it was Coup de Gallier, as I call him, or you call him the other way around. But Son of a Trump, he actually beat Son of a Trump. I don't even think I ended up running a place, but I thought I was half a chance of winning one night at Shepparton, and you might have roared at your horse, and the late Gavin Lang drove mine, and he came back and he said he would have been all right, he said, except for the screech outside. I can't remember exactly how he put it. And I was like, oh yeah. And then you came over a little bit later on and said, I'm sorry, but I might have made your horse gallop. That's one of the great things about the trotters though, isn't it? Is that then they had this ongoing, I suppose, I wouldn't say it was a rivalry, but they constantly were in similar races, are similar types of horses, weren't superstars, and they just made it fun, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that night was Cadell. That was his first win. So we were hanging for that first win, and loomed up on the turn, and Gav was travelling, and I might have yelled at Cadell, and Gav's off stride.
It was just so funny. Anyone that knows Gav, he came back in, and I think we might have been favourite. Doesn't matter. It's just fun, but it is what trotters are, and I think you seem to get that a lot more with the trotters than the pacing people. You build up a relationship. with someone that, like you and I only know each other through the racetrack at that period of time. We got to know each other better since then. But that was how we got to know each other, was this friendly rivalry, and it wasn't always winning the races.
No, exactly. And I think, they do things wrong, so then it becomes a bit of banter amongst people, oh, you trotted the whole way today, or, oh, yours was naughty today.
You and I had those conversations quite a lot with both those two horses, because they did have minds of their own, but that's okay. One of the other segments that I do, and I want to incorporate both of these, is more than a horse, and trying to, I suppose, encapsulate why we do this industry and all the rest. And it's not always about the best horses or what they are. You have a horse, and you mentioned its name just there before, a little horse called Firengrace by Majestic Sun, that at the minute has had 4 starts and hasn't missed a place at all. It hasn't, has it?
She ran 4th one. Her second start, she ran 4th at Maryborough.
Okay, but she's weighed in all four of those starts, including her last start win, and they're all in the space of a month. So you look at that and you say, well, she's a lovely little horse, got a nice record. You said about Peter Hornsby, she's out of Zesty, so she's well bred. She's got a lot of upside, hasn't she?
She does. She's got a lot of breeding on her side, but at the end of the day, the horses don't know who their mother and father is. They've got to produce that on the track themselves.
But one of the unique parts to this horse, and I didn't know this, and I don't know how many people necessarily, this horse has a little bit of a story that goes back a little way, which a lot of harness people will know the story about her, maybe not knowing that she's actually that same horse.
Yeah, am I allowed to tell the story? So as a yearling, she's the one that kicked Craig. He was very much of the opinion that she was just kicking out at another horse. So she did a fair bit of damage on Craig, which is unfortunate for him. And they were training her, and Craig, he told Dean and Blanche that, he couldn't get it right, give it to somebody else. He's like, I'm not going to keep taking your money when I can't get the best out of her. So Dean and Blanche asked us, did we want to give her a go? And we took her, and we're a bit the same, tried everything we could. Some trotters just have an awkward gait. So you try as much gear or shoeing or how to work them as you can. And I think towards the end of the prep, I said to Dean, look, I think you're just going to have to get the vet to come out and have a look at her, because maybe it's not a gait issue. It's got something to do with something else. So Simon come out and he flexed her up, and she flexed up pretty bad in one hock. So he x-rayed him, and it wasn't even that hock that had chips in it. It was the other hock had chips in it. So, she kind of showed a little bit, and I was a bit of the opinion, Dean and Blanche, they would always use her as a broodmare. So I was like, well, you're going to have to pay for the surgery, so you're putting out cost without even knowing that she's going to actually get to the track. But they opted to do it to give her every possible chance to be a racehorse. So she had 3 to 4 months off, come back in, and was working her up, and probably 4 weeks before I even took her into the workouts, I'd rang Dean and I said, look, Dean, I'm on my last legs with this horse. I've tried everything I can. I've got one more thing I'm going to try, and if that doesn't work, give it to someone else, because I've tried everything I can to get her going. And then we took her one night into Shep, just into the workouts, and she worked quite nice, run home quite nice. Didn't work exceptional time, but just worked quite well. So I said to Dean, we'll just trial her next week. She's not going to learn any more just coming into the workouts. She's a good horse, tractable, drives well, doesn't, care about other horses around her. So I said, we'll just trial her. So I put her in to trial and put her in to qualify. She qualified. I said to Dean, we're just going to go to the races now, because if she's not going to learn any more at the trials, just sitting in Indian file. So we went to Shep the following week, and she ran 3rd. And I come off the track, and I was actually surprised at how well she went. She seems to be a horse that grows a leg when she hits the racetrack. We then went to Maryborough, and she just was a bit funny in the mouth and got a bit up on the bit and a bit keen, and she galloped and then got down to run 4th. And then we went to Bendigo, and she had to sit parked and run 2nd. And then she went to Kilmore and won the $10,000 Platinum. But I'd already marked that race out before she even hit the racetrack. I said, there's this race that I'm aiming for, which was a $10,000 maiden for homegrowns. And I said, but we're going in these races, and if she happens to win, she wins. But if she doesn't, it doesn't matter. We're going for this race. And it turned out she won that race.
Right. got to slow you back, but I don't like stopping people. I like people telling the story. So Craig was Craig Turnbull, and it was a horse that really knocked Craig around and the whole Turnbull family. But he didn't give up on her either at that time. Like as you said, he wasn't holding her responsible at all. And you said, like you've had a few other people. You said there before about Pete Hornsby. Pete's also helped you, like with her, because she does have a few. She has those little traits that you said.
Yeah, she's not a true to the breed though. We've had quite a lot out of Zesters out of the old mare Sticks. So we've had a few, Nick and McDonald, and working with Pete, I've worked with the whole breed. So they all are a little bit quirky, but she's not true to the breed. Like she'll just stand here all day. She doesn't, generally they'll, run their teeth along the rails, or they'll stand out and kick, or they'll just stand there and bark, or they'll stand there and paw, and she just stands there and does nothing. So she's not super true to the breed. She's actually a lot quieter. So when she did, like when you look back now of how she is, for her to have kicked Craig, you're like, I just can't even see her doing that.
And Craig always said that he didn't believe it was necessarily at him, but she is a really good story, because sometimes you often wonder, and people like in the bad old days I would have ended up in the knackery or whatever, but it's a good story that she has come back. She's not foolproof. That last race start, you come around the home turn, you're in front, you're on the fence, and she just seems to, she still has it, like you wobbled about 2 to 3 wide, and it was almost like she was searching for better ground. She got to the 4 wide line, and then she knuckled them straight and ran away from them, but she still has a few little kinks to iron out.
Yeah, she does. She's a little bit gobby in the mouth, and finding the correct bit and what she's happy in. But even now, I might even try her with no head check. When we were working her up, we tried no head check, we tried head down, and she went better the higher you pulled her head up, and that got her going. But now that she's a bit balanced and, is pretty solid in her gait, I'm going to maybe try her without a head check and see how she goes. She might be a bit more happy in her mouth without a head check on. But yeah, at Kilmore, she ran up the track real bad, and that's when I'd said to Dean, look, I think we'll give her a month off. She might be even feeling that hock a little bit, because she does wear a lug and pole on the inside, not on the outside. So I let her run up the track a bit, and then towards the winning post, I tried to straighten her up a little bit so it wasn't a habit that she gets into. But, I'm not going to pull her off stride when she was so far in front.
And winning habits are very, very good habits. How far can she go?
I think she'll be I don't think she's a superstar, but I think she'll be a consistent little mare to punch around.
Which is really good. Dean and Blanche, we say, you and I were saying there before about relationships you can build and everything. If you listen to Dean and Blanche's story, I did sat down with Blanche just the other day, and they basically got slip, slop, slaps because the people were sort of had done enough with her, if you like. Gypsy Flair, who's just been a broodmare gem for them, went for about 4 or 5 trainers. They're very, very persistent. And it was just the last one just said, listen, she's worth more to you at the broodmare barn. This mare, by the sounds, may have almost followed that same steps as Gypsy Flair.
Yeah, so they were persistent to give her every chance they could to, Dean's always like, oh no, we'll just keep trying her. And, he was so happy when she won at Kilmore, like the look on his face. He was just so excited. I wish I was not on the track and I was standing there watching him when she won. So he comes with me, I pick him up somewhere and we go the races together when she's racing. So it's not just an owner. They've become friends of ours, and they're happy to support us. They send us yearlings to break in, or, recommend us to people, etc. And
it's actually what the industry is about, isn't it? Because it's about the journey and the fun that you have. They've got Gypsy Flair. They've got the Broodmare of the Year. She'll be Broodmare of the Year again, no doubt, because she's got quality horse. Yet to win one race with a horse, that I would imagine you talk about highs and lows of the industry. I'm sure when they found out about Craig, it would have been the lowest they would have ever felt. They turn around and see her win. I'm sure they, that's the complete opposite. It's the highest, highest honour you can get.
Yeah, and Craig and Beck, they're happy to see her win too. Like, they're first to send a message to say she's run well, or they're always watching her. So, as much as she did a fair bit of damage to Craig, they're still there supporting Dean and Blanche and the horse.
Yeah, no, I think she's a great story, and I think well done to yourself and everyone involved for getting you there. Hopefully, she goes on to bigger and better things. She actually may, because sometimes those trotters that do a little bit off a small prep and a couple more preps, you never know. And some trotters just progress. She's bred to Majestic Sun, one of the most unheralded stallions in our industry. It does an enormous job, and the horses tend to do that. Once the penny drops, away they go.
Yeah, and like I said, she surprised me at her first start. I didn't think she would run the time that she ran, and she's just progressed and progressed every time she's hit the racetrack. So she could do anything. She's not that great of a track worker, but she goes to the races and grows a leg.
Definitely. Stace, thank you very much for joining me. We'll say that one was more than a horse brought to you by Woodlands Stud, who always look after me, but also Kelly Partners. I'm going to put up Paul Dobson and Dylan Barry's logo at the end for all your accounting needs. Please get in touch with the guys there. It is tax time. Everyone tells me I don't do tax. I throw that one to Marie, so it's all. I go out and do these and leave her at home, Stace. It's much, much better. But Stace, thank you very much. Well done to yourself and Mark, what you're doing. Well done for everything that you contributed to with the pacing for Pink Day at Shepparton. It was great. I was just done an interview with Colleen Boynton that they won the event of the year, but behind the scenes, and Colleen mentioned it, so many of you guys that are just tirelessly there. I get to stand there with a microphone and just talk a lot. You guys are running around organising things from the pony trot, so well done to everything that you do for the industry, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Paul.